Notice how her behavior is completely erratic. The officer immediately suspects she is highly intoxicated. They try to claim that everything is fine, but the smell of alcohol is clear. Inside the vehicle, she has slurred speech. Immediately, she gets highly defensive. This is a classic textbook stalling tactic. She denies it. Her vocabulary is getting quite strange here. She claims she is licensed. The deputy shifts to vehicle ownership questions. Is it hers? She admits it is not. He moves on to find out where she lives. Where? Her verbal response is highly hesitant. The deputy presses for clarity. Yes. Is she permanently living there? Temporary. He tries tracking her timeline. She says Flagler. These constant location changes raise major flags. He tries to follow. Now she quickly backtracks and gets very confused. Let's watch how she responds now. Just socializing. The officer highly suspects she was drinking or visiting a restaurant. Yes. She agrees. Yes. Which spot? An incredibly vague answer. He asks her again. She just repeats it. He tries listing the local bars. Yes. He names a very popular venue. Yeah. Trying to pin down her story. She is totally confused. Back and forth. Her story is shifting. The deputy listens. Let's hear what the passenger reveals first. She explains how she got caught up here. And then comes that telltale alcohol scent. The driver is showing classic signs of impairment. Her coordination seems to be heavily compromised. She can barely even stand on her feet. Boyfriend drama. A domestic dispute erupted. The deputy seeks clarification. Negative. She tries explaining the chaos. The trouble started back at the tavern. The deputy asks. Apparently, the partner is highly aggressive. Dangerous. She wanted to intervene safely. Just trying to help. A highly toxic relationship? Understood. However. Now, let's watch how she answers. Tonight. An immediate confession. Noted. She admits her consumption. The deputy asks for the exact dosage. Namely, hard liquor. Her memory is failing. She cannot even recall the brand. No. Hesitation. Establishing a timeline. For hours ago. The deputy repeats this. But wait. She deflects to the argument. Right. The ongoing domestic drama. Back at the pub. Here is where the reality hits. She was behind the wheel. An unfortunate admission. The deputy explains the reason for the stop. The driver was swerving across lanes. Right. Confirmed. Let's analyze how this officer handles things. The driver immediately starts making excuses. Indeed. But the officer keeps her focused on facts. He notes a strong smell of alcohol coming directly from her open window. Clearly. Denied. Next, he points out slurred speech. She downplays the slurred speech. Notice how she keeps interrupting him. Constantly. He locks in her admission right there. She is agreeing that she sounds impaired. That is a critical slip-up. She blames it on medications. You and I know this excuse well. Drinking hours before the stop is typical. For suspects caught in this situation, he has to rely on her admission. She desperately points to physical issues instead. At this point, it is officially a driving under the influence probe. The signs of impairment are obvious. They can't ignore the risks. Indeed. Now he asks her to step out. Testing. Yes. Okay. But notice the passenger trying to interject. Right now, the officer shuts down the passenger immediately. He keeps his focus on the driver. This prevents any distractions or interference. He directs her to step out of the vehicle. They are moving to a flat area, right in front of the cruiser camera. Let's watch how she performs on these critical tests. She already seems highly unsteady here. Let's watch closely. She begins showing immediate, deep suspicion. This is standard line of questioning. Fails. The deputy attempts to reason here. Look at her delay. She deflects by claiming she only helped, hoping to avoid a drunk driving arrest. Classic. The officer quickly redirects her. Getting back to business. She is suspected of drunk driving. Observe. Denying reality. Of course. Keeping her focused on the actual scene. Asking about her alcohol intake. Unbelievable. Standard investigation steps. Classic downplay, which means multiple. Claiming she drank water too. Sure she did. Plus some odd herbal cures. Doesn't work. Her memory is clearly hazy. Time for the field sobriety tests. He tries to start the evaluation, but she continues to stall for time, making a strange request. The officer issues a final stern warning here. Will she comply with the test? Asking for her therapist instead. Nope. Mental health cannot resolve a DUI stop. Indeed, more physical excuse making. Excuses won't stop the police investigation. He reminds her of the rules. Returning to her earlier victim narrative, he shuts down her deflection very quickly. Listen up. She realizes. Now comes the absolute moment of truth. She finally decides to cooperate right now. The officer immediately tries to regain control of the conversation. A bystander attempts to interject and defend her, but the officer quickly shuts down the distraction. Notice how he uses physical presence to command focus. Keeping eyes locked, she shifts to a submissive, compliant tone to de-escalate, hoping to avoid trouble. The officer pushes past her excuses, keeping the focus, guiding her to safety. Next, she plays the fear card. He calmly repeats the order. She highlights the cameras, trying to pivot. Feeling outnumbered and defensive, she anticipates failing the field sobriety tests, believing the outcome is already decided. It is a common defense tactic to blame the test, openly declaring her lack of trust. She stammers here. Then she abruptly mentions a third party. Classic signs of highly erratic, alcohol-induced behavior. The deputy immediately shuts down the side conversation. He wants a straight yes or no. No more games. She tries to bargain for a free pass, but that option is long gone. She was caught operating a vehicle impaired. Now she must face the standard legal process. No escaping this now. Watch her switch to a defeated, hopeless attitude. Defeated. She knows she has been caught red-handed. The officer probes for clarification. This repetition is common with intoxicated individuals. Feeling helpless. Right. She loops back to the same sad refrain. He gently pushes her to explain. She sighs heavily. For the third time, she expresses absolute resignation. He wants to understand her state of mind. Checking safety. Finally, he offers the field test. Right on the spot. Yes. She agrees, initiating the assessment. Let us listen to this deputy closely. He asks about her glasses or contact lenses. Glasses. Can she see without them? Hesitation. Just to walk. Yes. Now he asks her to remove them for the evaluation. Pushback. The deputy explains that he needs to check her pupils for impairment. She continues to stall and claims she cannot comply. The backup officer spots the tactic. She denies it. She gets defensive and quite disrespectful. She keeps repeating that she cannot see. This behavior is signaling a refusal to test. To the deputy, she denies refusing but keeps arguing. With the officers, she relies on the same excuse. The deputy tries to clarify the instructions. Here, he is trying to stay patient. He explains she does not need perfect vision. She only needs to follow motion with her eyes. She still blames her vision. The deputy calmly reassures her again. Perfect focus is not required for the test. She only needs to track. Tracking does not require sharp focus. Just look and follow. But she continues to resist. Her resistance is becoming very obvious. She repeats the complaint yet again. The deputy attempts to regain control. One last time. Now she tries to move. Denied. Another stall tactic to avoid the test. The officer attempts to start the horizontal gaze nystagmus test. He needs a clear view of her eyes to check for impairment. The suspect immediately objects. The backup deputy suggests shifting to walking, but she remains fixated on her vision, demanding to put her eyeglasses back on. She is frustrated. Fine. She claims she is not trying to resist. The deputy tries to get her to focus, yet she keeps repeating the same complaint. The officer asks a practical question. Walking. She insists she needs them for balance too. Absolutely. He finally relents. She acts overly grateful for this, asking for the next steps. Let's watch how she handles this next. He instructs her to step on the line. Right here. He points to the white road marker, stretching all the way down the pavement. She stumbles. The officer has to correct her posture. He urges her to listen closely now. She begins to argue again, but he pulls her attention right back, telling her not to look elsewhere. He wants her eyes locked on him during this critical test phase. Understood. Good. Ready. Now she must place both feet down. Online. She struggles. He demonstrates. She demands. Sure. Bringing her feet tight together. Yes. Preparing her for the actual instructions. Next up is the walk and turn. The deputy begins with the basic foot placement. Left foot. Checking if she is ready. You can see her immediate confusion. He has to stop her to explain. Understood. Right. He repeats the basic starting instructions very clearly. As we can see, they have a real line. Now he explains the heel to toe pose, showing her exactly how she must stand here. Just like this. First, the left foot goes on the line, while the right heel goes directly in front of the toes. She tries to start. She is told to keep her hands down, sides, but she demands a demo. The deputy points out he is actively demonstrating this. She repeats it back, but fails the stance. He calls out her clear lack of focus. To listen, she admits she is totally lost. He emphasizes that he is performing the demonstration in real time. It is a very simple instruction. Just put the left foot on the line and hold that exact starting position now, warning her not to start. Then place the right foot directly in front, but she is already messing it up entirely. She tries once again, left, and place the right heel directly touching the toe to keep a completely straight line, just standing still, but her brain simply cannot process this. He tries to simplify the steps once again. He points directly down at his own boots. Let's watch how he explains the contact. This is the exact required stance. The officer begins setting up the sobriety test. Notice how she must stand. Staying completely still is part of it. This measures her ability to follow instructions. Understood. Now he explains the heel-to-toe walk process. The standard test requires exactly 9 steps forward, followed by a specific turn. But she already claims she is confused. The officer offers to demonstrate the test. Standard police protocol here. She demands the demonstration, but she keeps breaking her starting stance. Instantly, she continues arguing instead. Officers need compliance to ensure safety. Tension is rising quickly now. Watch how she starts stepping away from him. Moving without permission is a major red flag. She is walking away. She is clearly uncooperative. The deputy decides he has seen enough. Her constant resistance ends the evaluation. This is deemed a refusal. She objects, but excuses do not work anymore. He halts the field sobriety tests. The roadside assessment is officially over. Now she is facing a DUI arrest. Watch as he cuffs the passenger T. Handcuffs are secured on both suspects. Things are getting highly tense out here. He explains her attempts were insufficient. It is a fail. She blames the deputy entirely. He escorts her back to the cruiser. She keeps arguing her point. He keeps her focused on the search. She is placed against the vehicle trunk. Still. Now comes the search incident to arrest. He specifically asks about needles or sharp objects. This standard safety question is critical. Right. She remains highly dramatic until the end. The officer needs to clear up some details. She is clearly flustered here. He asks for her phone. It is still in the vehicle. The officer notes that down. They want to know if she needs it. Now, she hesitates. Maybe a friend can take it. But the suspect claims she is totally confused about the arrest. Now watch how the officer explains. She is booked. She understands. The charge is a DUI. She denies it while agreeing. Then she starts making excuses about medications for her condition. Classic. They guide her to the cruiser. She mentions hormone replacement therapy. The cops have already heard this. They just want her inside. She complies. She suddenly becomes cooperative and polite, entering the back seat of the patrol vehicle, repeating that she will cooperate. The officer tries to calm her down. Now, she keeps repeating the same phrase. She feels the reality hitting. Mind the door. Panicking as she enters the vehicle, the officer directs her to turn around, protecting her from hitting the roof. They need her to duck as she slides further into the back seat. Notice how patient this officer is being during the arrest. Perfect fit. Now she just needs to swing around, bringing her feet into the cruiser. Almost done. Getting fully situated in the back. We can see she is safely loaded now. The door is closed. What are your thoughts? The officer wraps up, anticipating a massive headache. Dealing with this uncooperative suspect, he is clearing the scene. That is his final paperwork. Yet, all right, guys, I am heading out. Now the senior officer starts debriefing the rookie, offering some critical advice on field sobriety tests. He points out how instructions can get confusing, especially during the walk and turn test. Clarity is absolutely crucial here. Guys, you must explain every step clearly beforehand, especially when reading the script. The officer demonstrates the proper commands now, telling the driver not to start. They must wait for full instructions first. Making these boundaries clear prevents future issues. Once established, you read the actual test. Then, you transition into demonstrations. Showing them what to do is key. The rookie did show her the motions, but the suspect still became very combative. It is common for drivers to struggle, but her resistance was a red flag. She was clearly being difficult. She argued during the eye check test. At this point, arrest was almost inevitable. The veteran is offering constructive feedback. Reviewing bodycam footage helps officers improve. He is sharpening the rookie's technique. Right. Reassuring him that he did fine. It is just about gaining experience. On his first arrest. Okay. Now we cut to the hospital scene. The suspect refuses to get out. Vehicle. She claims she wants help. The officer asks her again. Immediately, she begins screaming in pain, claiming they are hurting her. They are barely touching her though. This is a common delay tactic. Finally, she cooperates. Officers are clearing the home and moving down the hallway. They decide to push straight ahead next. Right through this doorway, she speaks. She complains about a wedgie. The officer questions her sudden adjustment. She explains that her dress is riding up on her.